can I tell you?
Hey, how you doing? You ready?
Yeah, I'm good. Whenever you're ready.
All right, guys, we're here with the master, Jeff Tate. Can you tell us a little bit about Mindcrime 2?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
How hard was it to write the sequel to one of the greatest concept albums ever written, man?
Well, it was 18 years. Yeah. Well, we started writing it years ago, and the plan was actually to release it after the Empire album came out, and but we just couldn't all get on the same page at that time, and the band kind of wanted to go in a different musical direction that we ended up following for a few years, and I kind of dabbled at the story over that time, and kind of went back and forth with it, and one day I was looking at all my notes, and it started to make sense to me that it was probably time to do it, you know. And so I finished up the story and brought it to the band, and we all seemed to be, you know, colliding with the same ideas at the time, which is great when you can all get on the same page. You know, that's the big challenge, I think, with being in a band, is getting everybody to, you know, communicate and to be on that same page, you know.
Right.
So we were all in the right place at the right time, so it started happening, you know. And once we got rolling on it, it just started happening really easily. And we'd sort of set out, you know, with a goal of trying to keep it musically somewhat close to the original, you know, so that it would be more of a soundscape for the story to sit in.
Right.
And we weren't trying to, you know, remake Mindcrime 1. We were trying to finish the story, really, give it a conclusion. And so we kind of did some research. We went back and listened to the master tapes, the 2-inch stuff, and listened to all the tracks individually, and read the logbook of, you know, all the equipment we used and that kind of stuff. And went back and tried to recreate some of the sounds from the time by getting old vintage gear and bringing it into the studio and plugging it in, and refamiliarizing ourselves with how the knobs work, you know, because everything's digital now, so it's kind of have to relearn some of that stuff, you know. So that was kind of fun and challenging. And then just, you know, mapping out the story, I broke it down into an outline form, and you know, we'd sit around and I'd explain the scenes of the story to everybody. And for example, the chase, for example, we you know, it needed to have an excitement about it. The music needed to sound like a chase, you know, a car chase. And, so we kind of, I'd paint the picture out for everybody, and we'd sit around and plink around on the instruments till we found, you know, a note sequence or a melody that we liked that kind of brought everybody together, you know, and just start brainstorming out from that point.
Well, what about, I heard something about it could be made into a movie. Is that still
Well,
possible?
You know, over the years we've been approached by a number of different people wanting to make it into a film. And we've actually turned it down quite a few times because we didn't really like the way they wanted to do it, or it was a matter of funding, or a number of different reasons why. But a friend of mine came to a show a couple years ago, and he's an agent with the William Morris Agency, and his name's Jeff Gorn, and he said, you know, you got to make this into a film. You got to do it. You know, it really needs to be that. Needs to have that medium. I said, well, what do you suggest? And he goes, well, I'm going to set you up with some screenwriters, and I want you to hang out with them, see what you think, you know, about their ideas and their writing style. And so he sent me a whole bunch of different screenplays from different people, and had me read through them and see which guys I liked the most. And I ended up settling on 3. So I had meetings with all 3, and then I picked the guy I really liked a lot. His name was Mark Shepard, and he ended up working with me. It was about 6 or 8 months in developing the story. He wrote it, and my input was really telling him the story, you know, explaining him the characters and that kind of thing. He'd call me like 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, hey Jeff, are you awake? Well, no. Well, I just wondered, you know, like if Nicky's, if he's standing in an alleyway, you know, and he's, you know, if he's feeling kind of some stress or something, what would he do? Was he the kind of guy that would internalize it all and just kind of stare off into space, or is he the agitated type? He'd be pacing back and forth, and, you know, what's he doing? I go, he's pacing back and forth. Okay, I'll call you later. You know, things like that all the time. You know? But he finally finished it. Like he finished it about I guess last Christmas now. And so Jeff's been shopping around Hollywood, and actually this summer we got a green light on a production company, United Artists, that wants to do it. So they're looking into it and discussing it. And so to make a movie, there's all these different phases you have to go through. So we're like in phase 2 now.
Yeah, I'm actually going to film school right now, so I'm kind of learning that as it goes. That's kind of why I want to ask that question to you, just because it's kind of like when I've talked to people at school that have been in to making movies longer, it's almost like the music business as well in that aspect. So,
well, I think one thing about Mindcrime is that it's a story that can be interpreted in a number of different mediums. I think as what a rock show like we're doing is pretty effective. I think on a film it could be really effective in Broadway presentation. It could be very effective there too. So it just depends on the adaptation, I think.
Okay. Well, to me, your music has always been, and was superior to a lot of the groups that I was listening to in the 80s and in the early 90s. When you first started out, were you looking for other musicians to be the great, musicians that you guys are, or were you just kind of wanting to just start a band and play rock and roll?
I was looking for people that I could relate to artistically, and musically, and be able to communicate the ideas I had with them, and vice versa. And it took quite a while. I got out of high school and started playing in bands, and played in a number of different bands before Queensryche came about, and that was a real interesting collaboration at that time. We got together, and we liked heavy music. We liked progressive stuff. We liked retro pop music. We had a lot of areas of music that we collided on.
Right.
And so that signaled to me, okay, well, good. We've got something we can talk about then. And when we first got together, the writing began right away, which is another good signal. A lot of times you get in a band and nobody writes. They just play other people's music, and so you end up spinning your wheels for months and months and months till you find out, okay, well, this is a dead end street, But it was great because Michael was a really strong writer, and Chris was a really strong writer. So the three of us, got together, and it was an instant bond.
So did you think it's more or less like fate that brought you guys? Because like I said, you guys, to me and to a lot of people, it's just your music has always been way above everything else as far as being professional. And even, my friends that play guitar, growing up on, going back to The Warning and Mindcrime and the other albums, it was always hard stuff to play. So was that easy for you guys, do you think, to keep evolving and making music that's, like, I guess, I don't know what I'm trying to say, like intricate maybe, or?
Well, going back to your first statement, fate bringing people together, yeah, I think it was, because we'd met actually in a fish and chips diner. Yeah, we all love fish and chips, and hey, I've seen you around the scene, don't you play guitar? Yeah, I do. And, that kind of starts the conversation off, So yeah, we were in the right place at the right time, and what a band is really the sum of its chemistry, and what we do is translate, our emotions, our ideas, our passions into a musical form. That's how we express ourselves best, And so you get together and you just start trying things out and pushing each other, and you become, in a sense, like a good basketball team where you know each other's moves. You've got the passes down and the plays and stuff, and you start working in that kind of capacity, and you push each other. The weak guy in the link gets pushed heaviest, and he ends up either stepping up or stepping down, and in our case, we all just kind of excelled in that environment, where the other guy was going, well, that's a cool riff, but what if you did this? Oh yeah, hey, I like that, and then I could do this, and that takes you on kind of pyramids up,